was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us.
I knew I could count on you.
Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my Ahsoka Episode 7 preview video. We are going to go ahead and hop right on into it. Of course, regarding all of the information that we know about the upcoming episode, as well as a number of different fan theories sprinkled throughout the video, so stay tuned for that. I quickly also want to mention I do have a merch store. I'll have it linked in the description down below. We just came out with some new designs. So in this video, we are going to be taking a read from Inverse.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. While it may be Ahsoka Tano's name on the title, Ahsoka has been feeling more and more like an ensemble piece, something of a bigger picture. That was especially true for the previous episode, Episode 6, which borrowed one of Lucasfilm's weirdest TV trends and completely pivoted away from the main character, Ahsoka. Granted, it was still a solid episode that delivered on the series' most anticipated reveals with Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. But as the overall Ahsoka Disney Plus project moves towards its season finale with Episode 8 already going to be next week, the overall show to a point is running out of some time to wrap up its story in ways that fans are hoping for. All eyes are on Disney Plus's Ahsoka, at least if its overall numbers and viewership numbers are any indication of that, and the pressure's on for its final episodes. First things first, quite obviously of course, we know that the next episode of Ahsoka Episode 7 will premiere on September 26th only on Disney Plus, coming out at that 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Of course, as we all know, is a pivot away from those traditional 3 in the morning releases that every other Disney Plus project has done for those time zones. So with this all being said, what's the deal? What's the plot for Ahsoka Episode 7? What are we able to know or base upon here? This is also kind of regarding into that theory or speculation, kind of that rumor mill of things here going forward, so take everything with a bit of a grain of salt. Guys, of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comment section down below for this episode of Ahsoka, as well as the finale episode, Episode 8 as well. So the last episode of Ahsoka, Episode 6, didn't feature much of the title character herself. Instead, we followed Sabine on the final leg of her quest to find Ezra Bridger, her long-lost friend. Episode 6 was a big moment for the overall show though, however, as it introduced both Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn into live action. While Sabine finally managed to reunite with her long-lost friend, they're still stranded on this planet of Peridea with Thrawn and his stormtrooper army, and a trio of hostile Night Sisters. Mind you, this is in an entirely different galaxy. This isn't the main normal Star Wars galaxy. It won't be easy getting back to their native galaxy, but with Ahsoka and Huyang on their way to Peridea as well, they at least won't be alone when it comes to a potential fight against Thrawn or anything else that Peridea may have to offer, as well as to the fact of that they'll all have each other to maybe figure out how to get off of that rock and back to their home in another galaxy far, far away. Really, the first overall theory of that and everything being presented by the end of the previous episode, Episode 6 of Ahsoka here, is that we will see Ahsoka and Huyang making their way to this other galaxy, that they're being Peridea, and somehow eventually meeting up with both Ezra and Sabine. Somehow, someway, I, fingers crossed, believe and hope that they'll get around Thrawn and his army, and even if she does come into contact with Thrawn and his army and Morgan Elsbeth and all of them, they'll find some way around it, and I don't really feel like that there's going to be all that much of a fight to put up. So as we also did see with at the end of Ahsoka Episode 6 as well, Thrawn tells his army, his commanders, Morgan Elsbeth specifically, that if any Purgle actually are approaching the planet itself, he says to destroy it with the Eye of Sion, the giant hyper ring that Morgan Elsbeth, Shin, Hati, and Baylan Skoll all used to actually arrive in this other galaxy. Because the only other way to get to this other galaxy, aside from making another hyperdrive, like similar to the one that we saw with the Eye of Sion, which would take a minute, that would take some time to actually construct, the only other way to get to this other galaxy would be to have Purgle Purrgil or traveling aboard Purrgil. So Thrawn knows that if any Purrgil are approaching, that could pose a potential threat, or that Ahsoka and Huyang or even somebody else could be aboard that Purrgil approaching the planet and try to stop Thrawn and his army from doing whatever. So I say that if and when these other Purrgils arrive with Ahsoka and Huyang, Thrawn will shoot them down, and Ahsoka and her ship, the T6 shuttle, will kind of just split off and kind of fall into the atmosphere of the planet, and it won't really be picked up or detected by Thrawn and his army. For one, they aren't looking that closely, and for another, I really don't think that Thrawn has up to that kind of capability or that kind of technology at this point with his Star Destroyer and his army. Like, they're a little outdated quite clearly, especially as we see with his overall army using some battered armor as well. I also want to go ahead and present that other theory. I've kind of mentioned this plenty of other times here on the channel, in and out of Ahsoka videos, of course, is that Thrawn is on the go. Like, this guy wants to get the heck out of this other planet, Peridea, for two main reasons that a lot of people have theorized on that, but I think that the second one makes a lot more sense. So the first one being that Peridea is boring. Like, he just doesn't want to be here anymore. There's just nothing to do but kick rocks, quite literally, and there's just nothing to do. Like, he's bored of it, and he wants to go back to the other main Star Wars galaxy and have some fun with that, take that galaxy over, overthrow the New Republic, you know, Thrawn shenanigans type of thing. So the other theory, though, however, is that Thrawn is running from somebody. He's running from another army, and I think that there's plenty of other evidence to actually support this and back this overall theory. For one, Thrawn and his army, they have that battered armor. Like, this armor's falling apart. It's being held together by some gold and like red like casing around the armor that's holding the armor together. A lot of people have theorized as well that this is actually Night Sister magic holding it together, their armor, and like those shards of their armor as well. Another theory on top of that, not to digress too much, but is that the red markings on this armor of the stormtroopers and Thrawn's army are supposed to represent that they're a part of Night Sisters, so they're supposed to be called like Night Troopers, is something that I've heard a lot of people calling them, and that this is technically supposed to be an undead army. There's more of that we see towards the end of the episode 6 as well. The other solid piece of evidence, though, however, as I digress, that supports that Thrawn is on the go and wants to get out of there, is because that there is another threat out there, is when we hear a piece of a snippet, a scene in episode 6 between Baylan and his apprentice Shin-Hati. Baylan tells her that he feels and senses somebody calling out to him within the Force. Whether or not that's Ezra Bridger or a whole nother Force is something that's like up in the air, and like a lot of people have been theorizing that this is supposed to be like some other threatening army, and they're also trying to make their way to the main Star Wars galaxy. So actually, for anything, Thrawn is like a misunderstood villain type of scenario of where he's trying to make his way back to this other Star Wars galaxy, the main Star Wars galaxy, to not like defeat and take down the New Republic because he just doesn't want them and he wants to be power hungry, but because he's really trying to protect them and everybody else in that galaxy from this other threat that's in the galaxy of Peridea. There, of course, are a lot of different theories regarding everything that's going on with Thrawn and his army. I kind of spieled them all like right here, kind of. I also, as I had mentioned, touching on that a little bit more, think that his army is supposed to be like an undead army. That's why the Night Sisters are working with Thrawn and his army. There's some type of mutual agreement and alliance between these two parties, between the Night Sisters and Thrawn, and the Night Sisters are helping him like resurrect dead corpse to like throw into his army pretty much, which is pretty insane to think about, but I think that's honestly what is going on. Before we end today's video, let me hit you guys with one last theory. I believe that by the end of Ahsoka episode 7, hear me out on this one, we will see the ultimate team up between Ezra, Ahsoka, Sabine, and Baylan and his apprentice Shin-Hati. All of them are actually going to team up and in an effort to take down Thrawn and his army. They're posing against just like all of them in that group. Like, we especially see that with Thrawn, with Baylan and Shin kind of just disregarding them, saying like, oh, okay, go chase Ezra and Sabine down, and that's exactly what we're going to see. It's going to be for that reason that they all like are going to turn around, especially Baylan and Shin are going to turn around and say, hey, we hate Thrawn and his army, like they're like total douches, they threw us out and they like turned their backs against us. And for the other fact and the other reason of that there are other threats on this planet of Peridea, as I had mentioned, there's potentially even like this whole other army that Thrawn is up and on the go and on the run from. Okay guys, of course I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comment section down below. for Ahsoka episode 7. This here's like a number of my own theories, as well as like everything that we know about this upcoming Ahsoka episode 7. We're almost closer to the finale, and I think that this episode is going to do a lot with setting things up for the finale of Ahsoka, probably leaving us on some type of cliffhanger. Of course, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. As I also mentioned at the beginning of this video, check out our merch shop. I have it linked in the description down below. I'm putting out a few new designs, and let's face it, the holidays are kind of coming up. Like, they're sneaking up on us. We're already like approaching the month of October, so never too late to start stocking up on some Christmas gifts and some holiday gifts. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.